like to give a special thanks to Magic X Beats, produced this track, Proclaim Your Nationality. I never would have thought it would be this way, to proclaim my nationality. I got a birthright inheritance, Europeans don't want you to have an actuality. I never would have thought it would be this way, to proclaim my nationality. I got a birthright inheritance, Europeans.
Thank you for tuning in to WDRBMedia, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and inspiration. You're listening to What Is Your Nationality? And I'm your host, Shem L. I'm the author of several books, including Land of the Free, which you can purchase on my website, sheml.com. That's SHEM-EL.com. Also on the website, you have the opportunity to enroll into my coaching program, which is known as Trauma to Triumph Training, where you have the opportunity to explore and work on generational trauma that affects our people. We actually address things such as post-traumatic slave syndrome and things of that nature, so we can get into resolution and get back to the great people that we are. On this episode, we will actually explore some of the information given to us by an author, scholar, teacher by the name of Aseer. I had the opportunity to interview him recently, and he also recently gave a presentation at a high school in Florida. You'll be hearing some audio from that presentation as well. And I just want to say that in this particular interview, he drops a lot of information in pertaining to nationality and other subjects. But I would also want to let the audience know that this particular interview is edited, and it is edited because there was some information and statements that may seem controversial and inflammatory. There was also in certain points where profanity was used, so we decided to make edits, and you'll be able to tell that there were edits that were made. But overall, I'm happy to say that this particular interview was a great interview. I had a pleasure speaking with Aseer, the Duke of Tears, and I think you will enjoy the information overall. I think you will be very much enlightened and educated by what he has to bring, because he definitely brings information that causes you to think. And that's what Is Your Nationality is all about. We are definitely about bringing information to make you think, not just to entertain you or to just make you feel good. We want to inspire you, but we also want to educate you. So without further ado, we will get into that. I also want to make it be known that what you will hear after our break is the presentation, or a section of the presentation from the high school visit that he made, where he spoke to the young people there. And then for the final segment, you will hear the interview. Actually, this interview will be divided in two parts. So at this episode, you'll hear the first half of the interview, and then the following week, we will present the second half, the final half of the interview. Of course, it will be edited as well. And so I really hope that you enjoy this, and we will take a brief pause for the cause. But when we come back, we will continue and get right into Aseer, the Duke of Tears. You are listening to What Is Your Nationality? And I'm your host, Shem L. You're tuned into WDRBMedia, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and inspiration. We'll be right back after the break.
This is a message to the youth. Make knowledge be your food.
Message to the youth. Message to the youth. is my brother Aseer, Duke of Tears. He's a real historian, a real element of understanding this information. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to him. And remember, everybody stay attentive. This is information that you guys need to know for yourself and for the future.
All right, let's go around the room real quick. See everybody, where everybody from. Where you from, Stacey? Haiti. All right, so your nationality was, you were born in Haiti, you were born in America? In Haiti. So your nationality would be Haitian. What about you, sis? Same? Okay, let me make it quick. How many people from Haiti?
Raise your hand.
Raise your hand up. Okay, how many people are from somewhere else? Name another island, another place. Where at? Bahamas, okay. Where at? Where else? Bahamas. Anybody else? Thank you.
Jamaica.
Jamaica, all right. Where else? Africa. What part? How you know? How you saying Africa? Come on, man. Stop playing. Where you from?
I'm from over here, but I'm Haitian.
Speak louder, fam. I can't hear you.
I'm from over here.
Over here. So that would be what? America, Florida.
Florida.
Sunrise, what?
Florida.
Florida. Okay, so you said Jamaica, right? Okay, that's what we know it as in English. You know what it is in the name that your ancestors called it? What it was before it was Jamaica? Has anybody ever thought about what your spot was prior to what you know it is now? Where y'all from? Guatemala, right? Guatemala, fancy. Do you know what Guatemala was called prior to Guatemala? You remember? Your ancestors told you, your people told you? I can't hear you. You don't know? Okay, well Jamaica, for instance, used to be called Micah. Guatemala used to be called Yeah. Funny, right? What language do you think that is? What language do you think that is? Spanish. What language?
Spanish.
Say again?
Spanish.
No, this is before Spanish. When did people start speaking Spanish? Do you know?
No. Is that Egyptian?
You close. How old do you think Spanish as a language is? For instance, since we speak. How old do you think it is?
About 200 years.
Close. Where do you think Spain is? If I was to say, okay, well, where's Spain? If I was to say, okay, let's get on a plane, we're going to Spain right now. Where are we going?
Europe.
Italy. Italy is one. I said Spain. You're saying Italy.
It's the same thing.
You think Italy and Spain is the same thing? Yeah. Oh, my brothers and sisters, we got work to do. Look. Okay. Spain, right? Spain used to be called, well, España, right? That's what it is in Spanish, right? But that's not what it is. When I ask you how old you think Spanish is, what I'm asking you really is how old is the language that you think that you speak and how long you think you've been speaking it? Like you speak French, right? Well, Haitian people speak French, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a place called France and they speak French too, right? Then there's another place called Belgium and they speak French, right? But are Belgian people Haitian people? Are Haitian people French people?
No.
Okay, but French people also speak Creole, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they speak Creole, then are Creole people Haitian people? Not necessarily, but there's a relation, right?
Yeah.
A relationship with Creole and Haitian, right?
Yes.
And where does that relationship come from?
Ancestors?
Yes, but specifically, let's say geographically speaking, where? Haiti, right? So we got Haiti over here. Then we have Louisiana, right? That area. Then we have another place called France. Then we got another place called Belgium, right? For instance, right? But then they also speak French in Mali. They speak French in Burkina Faso. They speak French, a lot of different people. But that doesn't mean that all of those people are French, right? So when I ask you how old English is, really, or how old Spanish is, really what I'm asking you to think about is how long have you been speaking what it is they told you that you've been speaking? Because we just speak in this language, like they say, okay, English, that's a slave language, right? Like we got slave names, that's what they be telling us, right? We speak in English, we speak the slave master's language, right? Have y'all heard that? Wow, so y'all millennials, that's like maybe my generation. Let me regroup. Okay, when you hear them talk about slavery, right? That comes up a lot whenever race come up, right? It seems like whenever they start talking to y'all about race, or you look like us, the first thing they bring up is this word slave, right? Now, the problem with them calling you have an eraser? You have an eraser? Okay. The problem with you being referred to as a slave is the fact that you could never be a slave. The reason why you can never be a slave is because the term slave has nothing to do with people of your complexion or your hue. The term slave comes from a Polish word called to Slav, right? Or Slav. This is where the term slave actually comes from. And the Slav comes from a people called the Slovak, right? Slovakia, right? So, are any of y'all from Slovakia? Do any of y'all know what Slovakia is?
I heard of it
Okay, when you heard of it, where did you hear it was?
on TV.
That's true. I can't hate on you, that's true. Well, Slovakia or Slovenia is in a place called the steppes of far western Europe, where it's very, very cold. Where really at the time now, there's really nobody that looked like you phenotypically there. So if that's the case, do any of y'all, have anybody in your family ever told y'all that y'all had Slovenian in your family?
No.
No. So if you didn't have any Slovenian in your family, that means you could not be a Slav, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't be a Slav, and the term Slav or slave means Slovenian, how could any of you be a slave?
Mm.
If I was to call you an orange right now, would you answer to being an orange? Would you accept, oh, I'm an orange today? No. If I called you, if I said that your name, what's your name? Caillou. Okay, let's say your name is Caillou, and I start calling you Albert, right? You are Caillou so long as you don't. You are Caillou so long as you don't answer to Albert. You understand what I'm saying? So you notice in our generations, we get older and stuff like that. When you're grown up, they have things where you have like nicknames, and we start calling ourselves different names. Or like, you know, you grow up and you go through a phase where you don't like your name, so you want to be called something else, right? The problem with that is that was something that was taught to our people to get us to forget our ancestry, who we come from. See, the problem is that they got all of us thinking that we are individual islands. When I say they, I'm talking about every educational system that has existed from the time that our ancestors came to this place. But when I say came to this place, I don't mean that they got on a boat and came and took you from someplace and brought you someplace else. If you believe that, right, the story is that nobody was here, and one day somebody came here with some boats, and with 3 boats, they killed over 100 million people from Alaska to Chile. Now, if that's the case, there would really be nobody here on this landmass right now, because everybody would be wiped out. Also, if you look at something called the Atlas, right? Y'all know what an Atlas is, right?
Mm-mm.
Y'all know what an Atlas is, right?
No.
Y'all don't know what an Atlas is. Okay, an Atlas is something that you look at in a book that shows you the proximity or how many people are in a given area or a given
Who
country.
said a map? Who said a map?
Mr. Eugene.
Inshallah. A map, though, is a little different. A map is basically showing you how to get to the different places. And an atlas is actually going to break down exactly what the landmass is like, who the people are, what they eat, what they look like, what they wear, blah, blah, blah. The problem is, for your whole life, you've been seeing images
of other people dressing up like you, and therefore you become disinterested because you don't see yourself in anything. Every time you look at Game of Thrones, every time you look at the TV, the only time you see our people on TV doing something of significance is when we're backing up some other races.
Message to the youth, nationality, be your
Message to the youth.
Peace, everyone. Brother Shemel here, and I have with me a special guest with me. This brother here is, he really needs no introduction, but I will say this, that I had the opportunity and the pleasure to interview this brother before, some years ago on my YouTube page, and you can check it out. Moorish Magi to Marvel movies, and he dropped a ton of knowledge there. And to date, it is my actually, King. That's my most viewed video.
Islam, that's great. Man.
I appreciate it, and I got a small. It got over 10,000 views, which is big for me because I got a small channel, man. But
that's
that just absolutely, brother. But that just speaks to the value of the information you've been giving for so many years, and I just want to actually continue to support you. Without further ado, I have with me the one and only Aseer, the Duke of Tears. Islam, how are you, brother?
Islam Noble. Pleasure to have me on again. Thank you for sharing me with the audience. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate it. And as well, man, for the continued support over the years. I really appreciate it, bro. Peace to all the human family to the planet Earth. And again, man, thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure, brother. So to get started, from the last time that we spoke, you've done a lot. One of the things I wanted to talk on was there was a video that you did, and I think we spoke about this on the phone, where you were speaking to some children at a school. I think it was a high school.
Yeah, it was a high school out here.
Absolutely, and you was dropping it. You was because this show also will be broadcast on my radio show in Charlotte, as well as on YouTube, and I want to kind of have something for the younger audience, who are kind of new to this Moorish paradigm and everything. So one of the things I noticed what you did when you talked to them is you asked every one of them where they're from. And if you can kind of go into that, to the importance of that in terms of identity, nationality, and otherwise, because I know a lot of millennials and stuff, they're not really as conscious on that as we are. So
true indeed. For me, it was definitely a pleasure. Thanks to the people at Sunrise High School that brought me out that time. Big up Teddy T, because he did get me out there for that. Identity is the biggest thing because it's the first thing that people think of or see when they see you. So immediately when you go somewhere and people is looking for you or looking at you, they always are gonna try to size up who or where you come from. Like, it's just natural like that. Like if you're walking down the street and you see a dog, your mind equates that as a dog immediately. However, then the waking mind begins to clarify what type of dog that is. You know what I'm saying? So it's an instantaneous thing. When you see the Rottweiler, you see the dog as a rock. You don't see the dog as a Rottweiler. You see the Rottweiler as the dog. You see what I'm saying? Because you automatically associate that this four-legged quadruped, right, is a form of mammal. But as soon as you understand it, you know that's what it is. However, what if you come from a place where you see that Rottweiler
right? But don't know that that's the name of the rock wall. You still know it's a dog. You see what I'm saying? So you can still identify it, even though you may not know its direct name. You know what species that this thing belongs to. You know what I'm saying? Well, sorry. So it's the same thing when it comes to nationality or name. There's an element of direction that comes from knowing what path a person has come from and what family that person belongs to. So identity helps us define that. If identity wasn't important, then nobody would have a name. You know what I'm saying? Nothing would have a name. But to show you how important identity is, anything without a name doesn't exist. You see what I'm saying? So you can have a name. No, you can have a understanding of oneself, and you could know, okay, this is, like I said, a dog. But unless you know the name or the specific identity or family thing of the dog, you don't know anything outside of that. So imagine if today, I said this before, but it's a good example. Imagine if I took away all knowledge of who you were prior to this conversation. Okay, so you live your whole life the way that you lived it up until now, and up until now in this conversation, this is the first time you've woken up to being you. So now everything that you used to be is still there, but you have no on-site memory to recall that. So in the essence of a place or circumstance like that, you know what happens? Now you have to rely on the kindness of strangers to kind of tell you who and what you are. And that's not always a good thing, because people don't always have other people's best interests in mind, especially when they've come and taken over, you know, continents and stuff like that with false information and basic brainwashing and mind control. So because most people identify with what a colonizer calls them, they are then products or property of that colonization. But that colonization only existed from the time that they accepted that designation and the time that they didn't. You understand what I'm saying? So you can have a nationality, you know what I mean, and still be conflicted with what your identity is. That's why you would see certain people who are like like in the Moorish community, the ultimate Moors. You know what I'm saying? These Moors is like ultimate, you know what I mean? And they're infallible. They're like super Moors, you know what I'm saying? But then like BLM come out, and then like now they wearing BLM hats. So it's like being jack of all trades, master of none doesn't help anything get done. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happens with the identity in my understanding, is that it's more than just being able to say I'm this. It's also creating a boundary line and a delineation to say what I also am not. See what I'm saying? So if I'm Prince Charles, then I can't be Robert Smith. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because Robert Smith is Robert Smith and Prince Charles L is Prince Charles L. You know what I mean? Right. But because Robert Smith is somewhat non-descendable, he doesn't have a nationality the way that Prince Charles L does. See what I'm saying? Because if I say Robert Smith or Robert Poole or Albert Blake, that's different than saying Albert Rodriguez, Albert Warfenstein, or Albert L. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The last ones all denote a person's identity and nationality. See what I'm saying? They're taught to kind of like advocate for gender rights. But what is a brave? A brave is a so-called American Indian prince. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So they use words that have the opposite meaning to who they're describing to give them power. Then when you go outside with that, now you're showing pride. That's pride, right? But a pride is a group of lions. It's a family alliance. You see what I'm saying? Again, something powerful to describe the opposite of what these people are. Because it's not brave to just go have sex with the same sex. See what I'm saying? Like, that's just part of certain people's human experience. But that's not brave. That's not like jumping out of a plane. That's not like running into a burning building, saving a child. That's brave. You know what I'm saying? It's brave to not take the shut up money. You know what I'm saying? It's brave not to conform to what somebody says because of this, because their science is benefiting them and not you. It's brave to stand up to somebody that's telling a lie. Those are brave things. You think what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So you're not really doing nothing for diversity and then still keep the same people in play. Meanwhile, the rest of us is at odds and we still beefing about whose religion is right, whose situation is this. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's downstairs. Then the millennials, they looking at everybody like they crazy because they've never been taught nothing.
Right.
So they just go by what they're told to be upset about because they weren't like us. They weren't the latchkey kids like us. We was latchkey kids. Some of us grew up in my generation. So when our parents was at work, we was at home by ourselves, watching different strokes, watching Family Ties, watching or whatever we was watching, you know what I'm saying? Or going out in the street doing what we need to do until the street light went off. Till the street light came on, you know what I'm saying? And we had to go in the house. That whole era's done. That whole era of social interaction is over. So these children don't know how to form real sentences with one another. These children don't know how to have a deductive thought. They don't know how to think a thought and let it go. Everybody's thinking all the thoughts and keeping all their thoughts in their head and not allowing them just to go somewhere. Not every thought that you think needs to be thought out to an extrapolation. You might just have an errant thought, but we've forgotten that we could even do that because they done made us feel like we got to be emotionally responsible for everything and everybody and defend everything and everybody except the basic tenets of our society, of our survival. So, like I said, these millennial kids, they don't know none of that. They don't know how to wait for something. You understand? Like, we used to call people on the phone. I used to have to wait till I got home to see who called me.
Yep. Facts.
Facts. You know what I'm saying? I used to have to rotary dial a phone. I used to have a phone that I used to have to rotary dial. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I got in trouble back in the days for calling 976 numbers. You remember that? Remember that era?
Oh, yeah.
In grade school, I'm like in 4th grade, like, yo, you call this number, they start talking sex. Like, what's that?
Spike Lee made a movie off of that.
Yeah, he did, right? And yeah, like things like that. Like having an opinion and keeping it to yourself. These things is almost, what's that? What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. Like, people don't know how to do that anymore. They feel like every bit of minutia that they think needs to be vomited onto some sort of streaming platform, so that way they're always in the mind of somebody else, and nobody's listening. Everybody's just talking.
Exactly. And you said a lot when you speak about the millennials not knowing anything. What I got from the video, which is really sad, you know, when you think about the educational system, you know, being in what it is, they didn't know what an atlas was. Most of them didn't know what an atlas was.
Nope.
I can go back, and I know you can go back. My parents had the World Book, encyclopedia, and that big book, which was the atlas.
Parents had a library. Parents had a library. I had a library in the crib.
Yeah. That don't exist anymore.
Yeah, our parents with libraries in their own house? Why would I do that? You see what I'm saying? Like, that's how it is. People don't even realize how far out of humanity that they phase people. They have been purposely coddled to the point that they believe that each one of them is a shooting star rainbow that's gonna be a famous rock star, painter, musician, politician, president. Like this is what they think. They think they could do it all. Because I remember when they started bringing T-ball, because my son used to play baseball when he was young. You had kids that were totally uncoordinated, totally just not in the vein for that. But they're all winners, you know what I'm saying? And they're all winning. Everybody gets a trophy. Like, and then me and my son, they looking at me like I'm crazy because I'm on something like, no, focus, hit the ball. You know what I'm saying? Run the base. Like, you dig what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to do it. We here.
Right.
You know, my son a Leo, so I gotta be on him. And that don't mean to be unsportsmanlike to the people you playing against, but it don't make no sense to do it if you're going half-assed.
Right.
So that became the thing because I was taught that they're winners and they're losers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because there are. You know what I mean? Like, it's that simple. Nobody was coddling me. One day, as a young man, I realized that people don't give a damn what happens to men. The only people who get sympathy unconditioned is babies, women, elderly people, and animals. That's it. Nobody cares what men think. Nobody gives a damn about men. And men have to suck it up and get over it, regardless of what happens to them. Whereas a female, you got programs, you got support groups. But if a man gets raped by a woman, you crazy.
Exactly.
Like, so that's 16. So when I was 16 and this woman who was 35 was having sex with me. And at 16, my 16-year-old stupid mind is like, wow, I'm really coming up. I'm really, doing my thing. It's not until I become 30. It's not until I become 35 and be like, damn, I was molested. This chick molested me. But it didn't feel like that. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm in the idea, I'm a young man. I'm coming up. I'm busting. See what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So here goes a straight rapist. You know what I'm saying? Is free and clear because it's a female. You know what I'm saying? So who had a daughter? You know what I'm saying? My age, if not. But again, young man, you don't have your daddy in the house. And I don't, but again, 16, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know because I'm still 16. But again, I'm a male. And I told you, men don't give a damn about that. I told my son when we moved down here maybe 13 years ago. And there was an old lady in the building named Anita, a white lady. But she looked like Spanish or something, but she was a white woman. And she was the best with us, especially when he was a baby. But I had something happen one day and she said something to me and it kind of put me off. So I told my wife about it. And then a couple of months later, I was with her more. And we were there and I told him. And we saw her and she waved or whatever. And she went back in the crib and more waved. And then he's like, oh, look, it's Anita. I said, I know she's cool or whatever, but don't get too thing with her. I said, because you cute now because you're a little boy. I said, but when you get a certain age, I'm telling you, it's all going to switch up. She's going to stop seeing you like that. Because now you go from being a cute little boy, cute little black baby dog to now the threat. You know what I'm saying? So sure enough, years later, he in the pool in that building we lived in, and then she comes out and starts screaming on him. Like she ain't see him swim in the same pool from the time he was 3, you know what I'm saying, to 10. And now you got a problem. You see what I'm saying? Because now he getting bigger. Now you noticing his muscles. Now you seeing that he's absorbing the sun. Now you seeing his strength. See what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying when it comes to us not really being acclimated to function on the same lines that everybody else do, because we're so transfixed on not taking care of our situation first. And thus, then we put ourselves like that school thing. All they wanted to talk about really was like what was really going on. Like, why is celebrity such a big thing in that? Why do I care so much about these certain things? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I said, I'm gonna speak to them from the perspective that I probably will never be invited back. You know what I'm saying? And I haven't. You know what I mean? So I did what I needed to do with that. Because I told them, I said, okay, y'all want it. I said, but don't be surprised if after this is it. And that's how I've always been. I haven't been in a position where if I find out something and I know it's true, credible, and I could prove it, I'm not going to not let the people know. You know what I'm saying? But if I hear it and it be half-paying rumor, and even if it is true, I don't have something specifically that I could come and say, boom, here it is, then I'm not going to create more confusion. You see what I'm saying? By putting certain things out before I even understand it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, to that point, because in that video, we didn't get to that part that ended up you not coming back. So for the audience, what was that? Could you give us a little bit?
Say that again?
Could you give us some of what you told the young people there?
Yeah, I was talking to them about one, the fact that they've always been here, that the whole idea that your identity is based on two different continents is crazy. And that if you were born here, you've always been here. And that they made it with this fake history that even if you're born here, you're not from here. Because they have this whole fake thing. This is a nation of immigrants. No, it's not. The immigrant is another name for slave. So they were sent away and then peopled here at a specific time point in history to overlay everything that was already here. And then do away with the idea that we, people that look like us, was running our own society. They still want us to pigeonhole or piggyback that society off of Africa. You know what I'm saying? And so what I was trying to get them to understand is that Africa is just a Freemasonic code name for Earth. So according to the old maps and everything, Africa went as far into America as the Rio Bravo. You know what I'm saying? So everything west of Mali is still Africa. But the term Africa is not African. The term Africa, the word Africa, is actually a Latin word. And that Latin people who were speaking that were people that looked like us, and they were called Carthaginians or Phoenicians or Proto-Lemurians or Mu or Fomorians or Etruscans or the people of Corrala Supe or whoever, you know what I'm saying? Maya, the Mayans, okay, that's cool, but that was the river. That was the river that they, in a sense, wanted to see. When they were coming in here to take over stuff, you can't leave the name of what the people know it as. So we're gonna call these guys Maya after the river. You see what I'm saying? So this way we're not acknowledging them in their individual identity self. And then those that had more contact with these people allowed those people to call them Maya. You see what I'm saying? But the greater people, the Tuttle Ixu or the Tuttle She people, you know what I'm saying, who they refer to as the Olmec, as the Maya or whatever, those people were Muslims. And those people had a society here that was not based on Christianity, and it was not based on worshiping the corn and the dirt, excuse my language, all of this BS that these Siberian Native Americans is trying to convince us that we was into. You know what I mean? Like, we was not worshiping corn. We was not worshiping the dirt. We was not making up legends about the wind. And so why would we mythologize it for ourselves? No, we mythologized it to the people that came later that wasn't from here. You know what I'm saying? So what I was also relaying to them is the fact that nobody's going to tell them the truth about themselves. And that nobody that has a vested interest in them as a commodity is going to look at them as something other than that. So the school system, the workforce, the healthcare system, the educational system, everybody number. But what society tells us is that the people who are most successful, Jeff Bezos, drop out. Bill Gates, drop out. The nigga who started Twitter, drop out. You know what I'm saying? All these people are, Zuckerberg, drop out. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because they made the movie Facebook with Michael Eisner, that don't mean that it happened that way. That's just how they want you to tell you it happened. But what they did show you in the movie was that he had a relationship with the Porcelain Club. But Black people don't know, Moors don't know, melanated people don't know what the Porcelain Club is and how distinguished it is. Teddy Roosevelt couldn't even get in. You know what I'm saying? That's how lily white they was trying to make that. But remember, we're also dealing with a society that functions through decoys. Okay? Half of European society was run through decoys. The painting that you see of Edward V, that wasn't Edward V. The real Edward V was darker than me and you. You know what I'm saying? But they put the white decoys here to go along with the white myth of superiority. So that way we always looking at the white people and we're not looking at the Black puppet masters behind them. Because they done convinced us that Black people are so stupid that no Black people run white people. See, that's why we lose, because we think that Bill Clinton, for instance, is the head honcho, when Bill Clinton was brought to the Bilderberg meeting by Vernon Johns. Vernon Johns is dark as Khalid Muhammad. So you mean to tell me this Black man who nobody know? So you never heard no rape charge against Vernon Johns. You ain't never hear about Vernon Johns going through this and that. See what I'm saying? Nobody really even thought about him until he died just recently. And that was because he switched sides. He stepped from the Democrats and started going into the Republicans. They were like, nah, you can't have that. So they had to ixnay that dude. He up out of here. So what we think as the boule and these types of things happening or whatever, they're all just more window dressing for the same thing. Because again, we have been given a false sense of inferiority, like they've been given a false sense of superiority. So we don't think that there's any Black people in control nowhere doing nothing to us. Meanwhile, all you got to do is Google the head of the WHO. So Fauci answered to him. He's a melanated man. He out here telling you to get vaxxed and doing all of that. He's more concerned, or they're more concerned with the one that they created that has a 99.98% survival rate. It's insane. You see what I'm saying? It's insane. And again, that's a melanated person doing that. You know what I'm saying? All of these Black lawyers and judges, every time you see them, oh, I just got my doctorate, I'm about to be this. Are they coming into the community? No. Are they going into the judicial system to create a hedge of protection for the disenfranchised people in the judicial system? No. They going in up there to uphold it even more than the white people. Meanwhile, the white people letting all of their friends off. You know what I'm saying? And the Black people get up, the so-called Black people get up in here and they get mad loyal. They are just knowing that it's institutional racism, knowing that it's institutionally biased against their own people. So are they not getting doctorates and everything to change their community? They are going in to keep it exactly the way it is. So how is that helping us? How are we moving forward as a people? You're not changing no laws to help me. What happened? When the last time you heard Jay-Z get somebody out of jail? Nobody. So as far as I'm concerned, all these people down with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, They're all down with it. You know what I mean? And it's not just celebrity. Look at what's happening in the concert community right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And all of that is by design. You know what I mean? It ain't just happen. But again, we were watching this train wreck implode for the past 10. And I told people, if you go back and check my resume, go back to 2008. I did 3 tapes: The Truth About Barry, Welcome to Obamatopia, and Obamanomics, I think I called it. What black man you know got a mother named Stanley? Like, I was telling people then, he not broke, he one of the richest people in the world. You know what I'm saying? And what he represents spiritually is great for us, but that is going to be manipulated. And once he get in, he's not going to do anything for melanated people. Nothing other than sit in the seat. You know what I'm saying? And that was enough, because because up until him, the country was over. Black people, white people, Asian people, Latin people, everybody was against Bush. Everybody was fed up with it all. Everybody knew. Kanye told you George Bush hate black people. Like, they did the whole rituals. Just boom, he's here. Now, he is the pinnacle, and everybody else that's been in community all these years, we all need to focus on that. And that's what they did, right? That's what they all did.
Right. Yep.
I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Because I was there. I saw it. I literally saw it. I'm not going to be a part of any of that. I'm not going to sit down and do a fake debate with somebody. Why would I do that? Oh, well, we need to expand the market. Who needs to expand it? You? You're basically a functional illiterate. How are you the face for all of this? That's when I seen, this is time to back up.
Right.
Time to go this way. Time to stop talking to this person. Time to step. And that was, but again, I'm a man, so I don't gotta tell nobody. I gotta telegraph my move that I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just do that. And then maybe if you ask me, hey, I noticed you don't chill with certain person no more. How come? Oh, well, because it is this and that. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
However, what I started to see in whether the microcosm or the macrocosm, the same thing, man. People felt like, if I don't be down with this, if I don't comment on this, if I don't think, then I'm not going to be relevant. So again, that means your relevancy is coming from another man.
Right.
Like, I came from the era where you don't do that. You don't buddy hustle with somebody. You don't D-ride somebody to fame. You get there yourself.
Right.
So if I have to kiss this person's behind to get there, then I'm not going to get there. Or I'm going to find another way there where I don't got to do that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But see, we were fed, the rappers, from a lot of situations, because we were taught that hustling is good, being a hustler. I'm a hustler, baby, right? But what is a hustler really? A liar. Someone who'll do anything to get money. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's what a hustle is. A hustle is a con. So I'm hustling, I'm doing my thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So hustling always equated. So hustler is what in the Caucasian community, they would equate as gumption or being a go-getter. You see what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? Being a shark in business,
mm-hmm.
right? But white men know how to separate business and personal stuff. Black people don't know how to do that. With Black people, it's all personal. It's all business. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And even if you are a so-called melanated person that knows how to separate the two, you will find that once you do that and you have done that, you then set yourself at odds with others in the community that don't know how to do that as well. because they identify themselves as black, you see? And the term black means that you want to be white. And that's why most black people want to be white. Right? It's sad, you know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that, so like if I use the term black, because I'm a Moorish American or more, so if I use the term black in a colloquial way when I'm speaking to my brother, or I'm speaking to a person who's not Moorish, I'm still using it from the context of the highest aspect of it. They are only dealing with the concept of it that they know, which is what's locked them into having to identify as such. I'm talking, when I say black or that, I'm really thinking triple stage darkness. You know what I'm saying? Melanocytes, melanocrites, melosomes, you know what I'm saying? EU melanin, I'm thinking cosmic, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking dark matter, dark energy when I'm talking to it. But the average person is not doing that. They thinking black like, you know, average black person. And that term is relegated them to only thinking that way. You see, that's why it's so hard for them to let go of it. Because every 25 years they call black people something different. So now even when we go back to Indian was used to describe property of the East Indies Company. So any foreign property owned was referred to as the Indies. Therefore, the people who existed on that foreign property were then referred to as Indians. You see what I'm saying? Right. Then the Spanish, through their operation, started to then use a religious context to give them a religious superiority, and then started referring to them as Los Indios, meaning those without God. You see? So that's not even the right term. You know what I mean? Right. Because that was used to denote or to get rid of more. So you have the laymen, right? The Greek speakers. This is what I call them now. Oh, well, you're only Moors because that's what the Greeks and the Romans called them. So again, so you mean to tell me then that the only people on earth that have been known on record, we can look up old Roman records in the Roman Praetorium, in the Annals of the Praetorians, right? That's an actual book that talks about the wars of the Romans. And there's extensive wars between the Romans and the Moors. So you mean to tell me that the Moors, i.e. the Carthaginians or whoever who was fighting against these people, hated them so much that they would fight them for thousands of years, but they would allow themselves to be called the name of the people they've been fighting for 1,000 years? That's what you're telling me? So you're telling me because Greeks, and the term Greek comes from Greekos or Grekos, which means stupid or slow. So when we think of the Greeks, you got to think of the Greeks as the slow and stupid people of the ancient world. And when we speak of those people, that was a certain homogenized group of people. They didn't represent the greater Peloponnesian archipelago that existed there amongst the Ionians, the Dorians, the Corinthians, the Spartans, and these people. And all them people was melanated. Okay? They just wasn't as swift on other things as other people were. So you mean to tell me that these people who they was fighting against would allow themselves, their whole nation, to be named by the people that they fighting? That would be like me and you going to a football game, and then I'm voting for the Giants, you voting for the Buccaneers or whoever. And then at the football game, halfway through, they decided they don't want to be called the Giants no more. You know what I'm saying? And these ones don't want to be the Buccaneers no more, or whatever. Or excuse me, they all gonna swap names. So now the Giants is the Buccaneers is the Giants. So who's fighting who? Who's playing who? See what I'm saying? Like, you don't do that. Right. You don't switch horses in midstream. If I'm fighting against you to maintain my name, I'm not gonna take the name that you're calling me. You see what I'm saying? To identify with. It's maladapted and it doesn't work logically. So anybody scouting that is grecas, is stupid. You see what I'm saying? Or for a better word, they're nice. Like the prophet said. The prophet said, the European is your fellow man, always treat him nice. Fellow is another name for corporation. Nice is another name for stupid. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if the European is your fellow man, the one that fell low and became a corporate ID, then in order for you to deal with him, you got to treat him nice. Meaning you got to treat him like he's stupid. That's how you talk to them. You talk to them like they're stupid children. Like you got to calm them down. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm reaching for my wallet. I'm going to stand here. I'm not resisting. Like you got to talk to them like they're stupid because they are. You understand? Because they joined up with an organization that was set up to kill people.